And we're back with another. Oh my gosh, I can't even do the intro because this. Oh man, I love this show. It's just a big doozy of things. But let us start with episode 3. What I could say about it, summing most of it up, would be wholesome, funny, and just complete, utter wholesomeness. Because we get to see what I suspected as much. They basically go to the theme park, they're enjoying themselves. Ashura is losing his damn mind of the amount of time, money that Mao is probably wasting on. Well, not wasting, but putting on, well, the stuff that he's buying for Alice Ramos. But I don't want to talk about those portions. Well, maybe the fact that Chiho is constantly getting jealous almost half of the time. And it's, well, legit hilarious. But there were a few other things that had my attention that I should take note of for this episode. At least for half of it. And then the latter half, the latter half would be mostly about the whole Alice Ramos. So let's dive into the beginning, first half of the episode, and go for the more important stuff, such as Mao and Emmy's talk regarding, like, the whole Inta Isla situation, how when Mao left, I mean, his army literally just crumbled to hell. But there was obviously Emmy's constantly being, what's the word? Constantly being bitchy on things. Such as, basically telling Mao that he is not gonna do, well, anything, and that he can't because he's weak, and yada yada yada, you know, the usual banter. And she's like, well, I guess all demons are dead, so why do you keep calling yourself a demon lord? Which is fun seeing Mao correct her, like,
hold up, who said all the demons are dead? Does every human become a soldier when your people wage war?
It constantly, he did the ultimate Uno reverse card on her, and it was hilarious. That's number one. Which number 2 is not exactly important, it's just something I want to note, that they go to watch some show for Alice Ramos. And yeah, Mao's impressed by the ninjas to a degree. Then they just start complaining. He's just criticizing things, which I actually find it super hilarious because, you know, that's kind of what I do. Not all the time, but a portion of the time. Which I also would like to add that I just like how in the trio, the little family, the Sadao Mao family, as I'll call it, are leaving the store. Emmy's friend Rika basically well, it was Chico who mentioned it, but they're like, oh, they probably fought because of money, and Ashia just loses it, goes inside, realizes how much it costs, and he's just losing his mind, which I honestly found hilarious. That's one thing. The second thing that happens that is more noteworthy is during the play, Alice Ramos starts talking about something she had experienced that traumatizing. No, because then the little half the moon-esque symbol appears on her forehead, and that gets their attention, which leads us to eventually see the one that brought Alice Ramos to them in the first episode, the one with the mysterious lady. She meets with Emmy, helps calm Alice Ramos down. Mao wasn't there for it. And because the mysterious woman disappeared, Emmy punches Mao, and it just ends with that. And then after that, the Sadao Mao family just go into the Ferris wheel, which is funny because the employee is trying to do his job, and Emmy is being a Karen. And I like at least in the English, it's like,
jeez, what a Karen.
And it's just hilarious, which is true. And funny enough, Ashia and Rika end up unintentionally leaving Chiho behind because she was helping someone, which just, it's hilarious. Especially with how Rika is closer to just realizing on her own that, and probably she does know, that Chiho has a crush on Mao. But that's besides the point. During this ride, there are 2 separate important things that happen. Let's go with the lesser one of the 2. It shows that Rika has feelings for Ashia. It's obvious. Her crush for him is growing and growing within each encounter. But the second one is more on Mao's backstory, or a bit of it. going with how about the demon world and their factions, how they kind of constantly fought amongst each other, and then his family being killed. And he does talk about an angel saving his life, which is important because this angel is obviously the same one who is at the mysterious lady. It's obviously the same one. He basically he starts puzzling the pieces that, okay, now I know why Alice Ramos is important. Because now they learn, thanks to the mysterious lady, that Gabriel and his group are basically on their way for her. So that is important. Because in the latter half, after they are done with all of this fun, wholesome stuff, they do encounter... they get a call from Lucifer and from Susanoo, and basically that means that, the angel group kind of got him. So they confront Gabriel, and he kind of starts bullying Mao. Chico comes in for the save, and her puppy face, or basically her pleas, actually get to Gabriel. If you want to know what I think of Gabriel, he's fine. I mean, if you're telling me about antagonist, not villain, antagonist, he's lesser than the one from last season. So, if anything, I feel like last season's had more or less of an feeling of actual tension. He just feels like just some guy who forgot to do his work again. But it leads to one of the most funniest endings for this episode. Because, first of all, Ashio is nowhere about this, so when he sees the pizza, obviously you know who he's gonna reprehend. But what makes it funny is just Mao being like, okay, Emmy, you're staying here for the night. And as you know, Chico loses her damn mind, and Emmy obviously is just completely freaking the hell out too.
You sleep here, for tonight at least.
For episode 4, it is obviously the very continuation of that entire scenario. Chico leaves, obviously mad, jealous, and so many other words related to it. But there's something funny that I just want to mention, is that Emmy does mention crap, and Alice Ramos just like, clap? And it's just, here, let me just show you the scene real quick.
Kitty party crap.
And, okay, with this episode, it actually just concludes the Gabriel Alice Ramos arc, explaining us what importance does Alice Ramos have. She is basically a part of the tree of life that basically holds the universe, and it's Gabriel's responsibility, since apparently Emmy's sword is one half of that, and Alice Ramos herself is another half of the puzzle to create the purple gem that is combined together. So that is his reason for going after not only Alice Ramos, but also Emmy's sword. And more or less, Susanoo explains the importance of this, how there's obviously 9 important things, or the importance of the tree of life, and also explaining Gabriel's side, but also explaining that this could also be a myth, and that this isn't important. Now, after this, you have basically the Sadao Mao family, as I'm calling it, all obviously sleeping together. Sadao Mao gives the story, and it is, as much as he does not want to admit it, because it's obviously him, and he doesn't want to open up to Emmy that much, justifiably to a degree, it is obvious that his story does relate similar to what we learned in episode 3 of his past. It is similar. So, and obviously Emmy wants to make the connections, and it is showing that they're getting closer, but there's still that barrier that they're enemies. They were enemies from the start, and they have beef with each other. More Emmy on Sadao Mao, due to, as in season 1, when she broke down how her father was, killed because of Sadao Mao's wanting to conquer the world of Venta Isla. So there is tension, but it seems like Emmy has finally understood a layer of Sadao. So there's still more layers into him before you finally get to his core. Now, Gabriel is funny in this episode, at least for me. He is legit patient. He waits for Emmy or Sadao to wake up. Well, Emmy wakes up first. She freaks out, points her sword at him. He's like, I'm just here peacefully. We can talk. She obviously pokes the tip of the sword on his neck. He freaks the hell out. And he's trying to be peaceful. Sadao's like, it's 5 a.m. What the hell's going on? And then he sees him and is just freak out immediately. It's like, it's more comedy than seriousness at times, despite the fact that it is a serious moment, which shows Mao having actual care for someone, that showing love, not in the terms of romance to help Chiho's plot develop, but more or less a family love, appreciation love for the things that he desperately cares about. Now, I could go into the fight itself, which honestly, Alice Ramos getting mad and then just completely firing herself into him Gohan style, Kid Gohan style I'd like to add, is pretty cool. It's watching her fight off Gabriel for a bit, cool. Emmy trying her best, her sword gets destroyed. Susanoo throwing Mao at Gabriel, hilarious as hell. But what's interesting is the power-up that Emmy gets, because she actually is able to overpower him, which shows just how powerful in nature Emmy is. Now, it is believed at that point that Alice Ramos disappeared, that she's gone, because none of the characters except Emmy and Gabriel know what happened, which is, spoiler alert, they basically, the two halves of that crystal fused into one. So now Alice Ramos is also Emmy's sword. So yeah, which she makes a point that now, considering she still wants to kill Mao, she would basically be having to force Alice Ramos to slay her dad, which honestly, that is messed up and she knows it. She's self-aware. Plus, even if she tried, Alice Ramos would just defuse and go back into baby form and not allow it. So, yeah, it obviously causes complications. But because she never told Mao he had been depressed, which actually brings back into the layers of Sadao Mao, something that is interesting. He's smart, he's very generous, and he does care. It is something that it's his development into basically being human. Because he actually tears up when he sees, well, Alice is still alive. And those are tears of happiness, for sure. Which he gets called out for and obviously goes tsundere mode. But it does show that there is just so much to him. And then at the end, it does have the two angels, the fat one and Gabriel, talking and mentioning Emmy's mom, how basically she had stolen that crystal, the purple one. So we obviously, as I predict, it is obvious to me that that angel is Emmy's mom, like her actual mother, considering we didn't know as much about her in season 1. Not to mention that apparently she can go angel mode in a sense. I'm talking about Emmy. So there is a lot to take on. These 2 episodes are genuinely amazing. You get fun and, well, funny, and then interesting lore and seriousness. It's a mix of things, it balances out, and it just leaves you wanting more.